So, from your point of view, explain the story of Frank.
Oh, my tattoo, Frank.
Yeah,
Oh, way to
the
put
one-
me on the spot.
Because we always bring him up. Well,
Yeah.
not always, but
The
he
legend
comes
of.
The legend of Frank. So, how do I explain this story? I have a friend, a really old friend that tattoos. And he was like a young tattooer at the time, I guess you could say. And all of my friends were getting tattoos by this person.
I like this story.
It's so good. All of my friends were getting tattoos by him, so I was like, oh, I'll get one. And he had this design, which was Frank, and I was like, sure, let's do it. I'll get the skull gramophone. Why not? So yeah, no, I went in and we did the skull gramophone thing and never finished, and I never went back to finish it. We talked about finishing it, but he got way better real quick, and I just didn't think that
He would want to finish it?
Well, I'm sure he would still finish it, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
just didn't think it would work
Is
out.
his name Frank or is the tattoo's name Frank?
up.
tattoo
His name
is Frank.
That's okay. That's what I was gathering.
The,
Frank
the
is
guy
a-
who tattooed it's named Cody.
The old young tattooer
Yeah.
is named Cody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frank is a bizarrely colored skull gramophone with negative space eyes.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's not done, though.
And
I think it's done.
yeah, yeah,
done
it's,
now.
it's
I think
finished.
It's
It's
never,
like-
it's
yeah.
never
Remember
going
when I
to
was
be done.
talking about that cat dog tattoo?
Yeah, exactly. It's
And
like
I was
you
like,
could,
oh, you
but
could-
it's actually done.
It's like, this thing is finished. You don't touch it up. That's the point.
yeah, that's
you
the
let
whole
this
point of
thing
these
fall
tattoos.
apart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're 90, it's just like a little orange blob.
And when you think about it, if it weren't for those tattoos, we probably wouldn't have Remy Reacts.
No, we
Like,
definitely
we wouldn't, because we would just be complimenting good pieces all day.
Oh,
Yeah.
this great tattoo.
Yeah, this
Which is
another
like
good
really
one.
tiring.
5 minutes
It's
of,
like, oh, cool.
wow, this one came out short. It's 6 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
All we
just
did was compliment the artist.
or we just talk about the rooms that they're in. That's pretty much the other side of it.
Oh, I got another good. I shouldn't spoil it because
Yeah, I
it'll
was
come
about
up
to say.
eventually. But man, oh man, I got the best room picture ever the other day.
All right, sweet.
There's like this much tattoo, and the rest of it is just like dirty room. There's like clothes on the floor and like shit all over the place.
That's
It's like
gonna
those
be like-
MySpace photos with the toilet in them, and you're like, there's poop in that toilet.
He didn't flush first.
It's the same thing.
Why would
Who's
you take
taking
this photo?
pictures while they still smell shit? What's happening?
I mean, that person
It was a
doesn't
thing.
smell. at that
It's the
point in time.
idea of
Right.
like the bathroom selfie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't like this picture. I'm getting more bathroom than person.
Yeah.
I
I
still
don't-
have people messaging me, like prospective clients messaging me, and their profile picture is literally them sitting in the mirror taking a picture. I'm like, isn't that dead now?
No, I
Are
think
people
for a
still
lot of
doing
people,
that?
that's still the thing.
That's crazy to me.
Like if you're not engaging with like social media on like a high level, that's acceptable behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Maybe it's the country boy in me that thinks that always looks freaking ridiculous.
it does look ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like if you're not trying to, if you're just like, oh, I need a picture of myself for Facebook, then that's the picture you take because it's easy. It's like I just take a picture of me in the mirror, right? There I am, and that's my profile picture.
inconvenient, but shirtless too.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
like-
weird.
Like
Probably
if-
his Tinder profile.
Who's taking a picture in the mirror and they're not shirtless? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's total insanity.
Yeah.
All-
I've seen TikTokers that do all of their videos in the mirror. Yeah.
But TikTok breaks all the rules because they're like, yeah, this is made for nonsense.
Sarah just made a TikTok. Her
I
first
did.
TikTok.
awesome. What's it about? What's the theme?
Our house is haunted.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the
Cool.
theme.
that's
times.
sweet.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's as far as I'm going.
Are you going to continue with that?
It's
What?
Are you going to continue with that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
well, she
Should
was
be entertaining.
She pitched the idea of having me be like a ghost in it,
Yep.
like a sheet ghost.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's revealed that it's actually me. It's like,
I think it would be suspected from day one. If I'm honest.
This one is obviously Remy, and this one is obviously the dog.
yeah, they might see like the black under the sheet.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be really
Why is
funny
there
if
a
you ran
silhouette
through the
under that?
screen
Yeah.
in a sheet, you know.
This is not. This isn't as spooky as it once was. Yeah, no, it was innocent, harmless, right? She has no followers. That thing got about 500 views already.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's TikTok for you, and that's
Yeah.
why TikTok wins.
It's great.
So they're doing ads now, though, right? Mm-hmm. So how long do you think until TikTok's ruined?
Oh, it's already on the way.
Okay.
I told her, I was like, yeah, that 500 views but you won't get that next time. Because like the way that it works is once they figure you out, they start strangling your reach. And then you get Instagram reach.
Right.
So it's only good for so long.
Oh, I'm familiar with Instagram reach.
Man, like
And lack thereof.
It's awful.
Well, that's what. Okay, so I'm only going to touch this briefly, but the COVID thing that's going on again, right?
You mean the giant
What?
swell in cases, deaths, and hospitalizations?
So I don't want to get too far into the muck. It's only got a kind of cursory around that. Is that Sarah asked if my work has advertised their policy, like that they're
So
still
people
open.
know.
I was like,
that would
how-
be incredible.
Yeah, but like how?
Instagram.
But who
With
sees
no
it?
reach.
I think it's more just like, so when someone shows up and then they get to the door and they're like, "What? How did I know?" And then you can say, "Well, we posted it." That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the best
Yeah.
that you can
It's
get
just
out of it.
it's like you can't It's almost like you're advertising on one radio.
Do you have
channel
any
now.
ability
Almost no one
to-
listens to?
Do you have any ability to add that to your details in Google Maps?
Yeah, or
That'd
Google
be,
Business.
That'd be an incredible.
Not yet.
I don't think you can do it now.
Really?
No.
I don't think that's. It's
Can't-
just
isn't,
so.
Isn't there a write up on the? Can't the store owner put a write up of the business on Google Maps, or just gets user defined?
Well, they can do things like that. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be. A lot of people aren't looking. A lot of people are just like.
They just
I'd be
go.
looking.
Yeah, I
but,
guess.
I mean, maybe we're not the status
I
quo.
mean, I would not be looking. I'm not good at that.
I'd be like, am I allowed to go there?
Do I not have maps?
Yeah.
Well, the last time we were closed, we had people we had a sign up on our front door that said, "Pick up at the side door," because we were renovating the front, and people were basically walking into the door, and there's a note right on it,
People
and they're
don't read.
smacking their head up against the
They're
note.
like clunk.
They're like, "Why isn't this door open?"
You have no idea how many people
Oh.
come to my work thinking that we're a thrift store, even
So
though
there
there's signs
absolutely
everywhere.
is a
Yeah, there's a health and safety
health
area.
and safety thing in Google Maps. I'd say that would be the best place to start.
Yeah. Who's in charge of your social media?
I don't know what I mean. That being said, most businesses don't do social media well.
Yeah.
So it's not really a knock against them. It's just
Or they get someone like me to do it that has no time. I do
Well,
my business's social media.
well, Rowan's on her third day of a 4-month course for online marketing.
Oh, cool.
So she'll hopefully be managing
what is she
a
learning in that course? Do you know anything?
I
about-
don't know yet. No, it's day 3.
I
so
would be very interested to know what they're teaching her.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
And I'm not even being tongue in cheek. Like I'm
No,
really,
it's like,
I'm
are-
wondering what they consider an education in
Are they teaching her Instagram algorithm stuff?
Yeah.
Are they teaching her how to find out how to stay on top of that stuff? Because that would be the more important skill. It's not a matter of giving.
I would
giving
be
them a
more
fish.
worried about being able to continually fish than just catching fish once,
Exactly.
right?
So hopefully it's how to navigate the ever-changing waters, not just how to jump into the water.
How to
forever.
learn a system that's learning faster than you and how to outlearn you, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what
yeah.
the algorithms do. They're
Yeah.
like checkmating you every step you make. Like, it's really bizarre. Because I'll figure out the algorithms real great. Like, I'll know exactly how things are working, and then it'll change suddenly, and I'm like, this is strange.
Is there another business that fights its clientele's engagement with it?
Well, the trick is we're not fighting it; we're fighting each other, and it's trying to mediate us, right? Because we're all trying to come out on top, and it's just like, no, I'm going to prioritize whoever's special.
I think
today.
it wants everyone to lose,
I
and
think
then
it's like our
everybody.
government. It wants our money, so it holds us down.
But like, okay, so here's the thing. I've gone in and I've said follow to certain things, right? Why do those things not show up if I've chosen them?
Dude,
that's
right?
That's the
I shared
wildest
a meme,
thing about it.
A meme the other day. It was a picture of a guy, like, and then the next he's like kind of vanishing, and then the next it's just the scenery behind him, and the caption is, "What happens to my friends if I don't like their posts in the first 20 seconds?"
Oh, so
Yeah.
true though.
So my goal on Instagram is to like and comment on local tattoo artists' profiles. That's my goal.
It's a good goal.
Does it show me local tattoo artists?
No.
No, it
No,
shows
you
me
have to-
chicks jumping off of cliffs into
Yeah.
water and hiking and stuff.
Because that's what everybody
And
else
doing
likes.
this TikTok dance.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I don't want any
I don't know
of
what
it.
that
Yeah.
is, but you know what I mean.
I've seen it like everywhere.
Yeah,
I've
there's
seen
like this strange TikTok
I
dance
know.
where they're banging their hands
Oh, if
together.
I accidentally
The
get into
weird
the
thing
part
is
of
no one can do it in time.
I know.
I don't know what it is about those movements, but
terrible.
nobody can do it in time.
It's terrible.
It's just like it hurts me.
and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
I keep
I've
seeing
never seen
them.
any of this.
Well,
It's awful.
you don't need to see
You don't
them.
need
I
to see it.
tend
They'll
not
be
to.
It's a
gone
really bad
soon.
trend.
If I
That's
catch
the good
myself
thing.
in the reels thing, I'm like, get out of here. I'll close the app. Like, I don't want to see
I
any of
catch
that
you
crap.
looking at those sometimes, and I'm like, TikTok content is the worst content in the world.
I don't TikTok. That's not where I look at reels. I look
No.
at reels on Instagram, and it actually shows me things I like.
Reels
so,
are just
good.
are just TikToks.
Like if I'm
Yeah.
looking at Halloween, it shows me Halloween. If I'm looking at someone popping a zit, I get people popping zits. I'm like, why do you know so well?
But the good thing about those stupid dances is, by the time you get sufficiently annoyed with them, they're on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Because they don't have any staying power.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it'll be people whistling a certain thing or
So-
some crap.
Here's a real question. Like, there's people on there that have, they put a lot of energy into these things.
Yeah.
To the point where they're paying people to help them assemble these things.
Mm-hmm.
What are they getting?
Right?
Like if they're outputting their time.
That's
and money,
what
right?
I always
Those
say
are
when
both
I
costs.
see. There's a social media influencer that I've known for a long time, like years. I had passed him in following recently.
I know who you're talking about.
And all of a sudden, he's only posted twice in all of September. He's gone up like 20K followers, and all of his posts have no likes for like the first 3 hours. They have like 200, 300 likes. And then you check back, and then they have over 10,000 likes. So this guy is buying
Something.
likes or followers or both.
Because
And
if
I'm
you have
always
no
like-
likes in those first couple hours, your post is dead, right?
Yeah,
But
you're
then
not
his
going
post
anywhere.
comes alive out of nowhere.
But like,
What are
For
they getting?
what?
I don't know what he's getting out of
Free
it.
stuff.
but
That guy's getting free stuff.
He gets free
Guaranteed.
stuff,
Every shirt that he's wearing is free.
But at the same time,
Guaranteed.
you're
Needs more
paying for
shirts.
the likes.
I got
People
plenty of
like shirts.
yeah, that's your
I don't know.
cost.
So, like, if you're paying for the likes, you may as well just buy the fucking shirt.
Yeah,
Like, I already resent Instagram deeply for the time it takes me to stay up on this, and it's for work.
Yeah.
And I still resent it. I can't imagine people putting extra time and effort into making these weird videos and stuff.
I wouldn't do it
Just-
for fun if I were you.
I think
Certainly
people like
not.
being famous.
yeah. I think
But-
there's something about the numbers that it's
But
a
it's-
reward for sure.
Okay, so like 150K following is a as a flat number to different people means different things.
Yeah.
So like I know a lot of influencers with bigger followings than Hood. But when I say Hood, most people know the black work artists that I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
But they don't know if I mention another guy. If I mention the name Darkness Nightmare, no one knows who the fuck that is, but he has 1.5 times the following of Hood. So, like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a following can be utilized or not.
yep.
If you're actually a useful human being or you provide something of intrigue to the world, then that number can mean something. If not, it's just like,
Well, see, like
Just a guy slinging T-shirts.
yeah.
for Hoods, it's like his following is his clientele, in my opinion.
Or
Yeah.
his
Like
potential
outside of that-
clientele.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the way that I've always seen Instagram. If you are a business, it's like you want your followers to be your clientele or prospective clientele. You don't just want them to be people that like tattoos and are nowhere near you. Like if I follow him, it doesn't help him at all.
Well, his clientele is maybe his following, but also people who would like to be tattooed by him.
That's
one
what I'm
day.
saying, though.
Yeah.
But like, I'm never going to get tattooed by him.
Yeah.
It helps him fiscally in no way for me to be following him.
Although you
It's-
could potentially like fly out to get tattooed.
But every
by
time
him.
you
Oh, but
like,
I'm not.
every time you like his
Kevin's
thing,
not getting the
he moves
blackout.
up the algorithm and gets more prospective clients.
If
and
you're
more
liking that
selection.
stuff.
Yeah.
But he's going to be in the algorithm anyway. Because what he's saying is his notoriety is far bigger than his following,
Yeah, it is.
right? So it's
Yeah.
like just in terms of the tattoo world and how people know him, the people that are following him and how he is known are two separate entities.
Right.
Because the two people that are following him, hopefully, are real, tangible, prospective clients. That would be his most ideal. If that number
Yeah.
is large, and then that's his
Here's
workload for the
another
rest of the while.
facet of it is just because you're not following him doesn't mean you don't know who he is.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
like that's the same thing for me. My notoriety is actually bigger than my following
Yes.
because there's a lot of people out there that hate me. Like they've seen my account for years and they're like, "Fuck that guy."
Why do you keep popping up in my feed?
Yeah, exactly. So like
Get that lots.
a following isn't necessarily the only thing to be aware of.
No.
You also have to kind of be aware of the scope of your presence, I guess, in that realm,
Of your celebrity.
which there's no number for.
No.
That's the interesting thing. 150K is not 150K, 150K, 150K.
Well, because that's only the likes that you get. Instagram's kind of flawed because it should show you the views on everything.
Yeah.
Because I think your views would be substantially higher than your likes, right? Like how many people are actually looking
Oh, yeah,
at it?
my views
Just
are.
because they didn't like it, you know, I think views are
Disgust.
important. I think for like like an artist, views are really important too because then you can actually gauge
they should be.
you can gauge how much traffic you're getting, how many people's eyes have been on your work because I
So
think
I don't think likes are a great
Yeah.
metric yet.
it should just be views because you could have more people looking at your page than that are liking your page.
Yeah.
You know, maybe someone's not taking the time to like it, but maybe you're getting like, 500,000 views or something. You don't even know it because you got like 10 likes.
Yeah.
You see it on reels and stuff.
Yeah.
Like my reels will do. So I have a reel right now that has 112,000 views, but only 3,000 likes. So that's a huge discrepancy.
No kidding.
But like at the same time, just because you view something doesn't mean you want more of it.
No, I know.
So I think the like is kind of like a decent barometer in terms of being like more of this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just like if you see things that are like 112,000 and 3,000 or 112,000 and 12,000, all of a sudden you're like, well, this one, even though the performance is the same, the engagement tells me that more people enjoyed this.
I got a great point on this. I recently put up the video of my new reworked spider eyes on TikTok. It hasn't put up on my Instagram because my Instagram's always behind. Because I don't love Instagram. It's a big shock.
Yeah, weird.
Anyway, I then did my full blackout suit video throwback right after, and I did the old like torso work, like the red suit video, like right after that. So I did them all three back to back. The first one went fucking viral, and it was like everybody loved it. Almost no one had anything bad to say about that's the spider eyes, right? Everybody's like, holy shit, this is starting to make a lot of sense, and blah, blah, blah. And then the blackout one was like, oh, well, this is kind of cool, and it got shared quite a bit, not as much as the first one. And then the next suit, quite a few people were like, oh, the old work was better, but it got almost no shares and almost no views compared to either of the previous suits.
Yeah.
So while the people who did see it, some of them thought it was better than the new suit, almost no one's seen it. You know why? Because it wasn't as controversial. It doesn't say as much. It's not as much of a wild thing.
It's not as striking.
Yeah.
Like that was one of those things that's like, okay, tattoos, cool. But when you have like a blackout project, it's just such a striking image.
But
That's
it's
one of the things about Instagram is like you have to make whatever the thing is the most striking you can make it.
But I always think, like, I have to think this. People don't know what they want. People don't know what they like. They think they do. They don't actually know what they like. That's what algorithms have figured out. They actually like the new suit more. The algorithm has said this much because it got 30,000 times the likes.
It's not
Yet
what they
I have
like,
some guy
it's what they
eating
notice.
cheese telling me
I think that's a good point.
the first suit is better.
That's not necessarily like because it's a matter of what their eye is drawing to, right? So it's like I don't know. You're just picking up on the biology of it rather than the psychology of it. Like, or if it's like this is a preference of something that I would want, people look at the first one and they go, "Oh, it's more intricate. Yeah, there's more detail. Blah 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 blah." But in terms of what makes their eye happy, in terms of like how to,
What are they watching longer too?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what the algorithm's saying. People are glued to this. Where the other one, they probably just go, "Oh yeah, there's some pictures there. This is better."
It's a tattoo suit.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, no, you actually don't know what you like. The algorithm does, though, so they're going to keep showing you this.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to keep giving you this. That's
Yeah.
why,
So you like people jumping off of cliffs?
Apparently.
Yeah.
well, apparently lots of people do. Maybe you don't. but lots of people do.
Right.
Well,
right.
you've cliff jumped.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
Maybe
There you
those
go.
people
Instagram
come
knows.
to your page.
Maybe so.
But this is
I
where
don't
I
know.
kind of like it in a way, because that's art,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when I got that Unilad feature last year, remember that guy who was like, a black wall is an art. There's nothing artistic
yeah.
about it. And she was like, no, there was.
There's that. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It sold for many monies.
yeah.
Just a pure black canvas.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
Plenty art.
yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like art is anything that gets any kind of a reaction,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
It doesn't have to be happy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of okay, I guess.
Well, it should be.
There's whole classes on how you define the term art. And I still have taken many of them, and I'm still like, I don't get it.
It's actually a debate class.
yeah.
That's
But
the
that's
whole
what
point
it
of
is,
art.
right? It's debating on what it is. And
Yeah.
At the end of it, I'm still always left with, well, what is art? And that's the.
I used to get so frustrated when I was having a conversation with someone in academia or listening to like some university lecture. And I'd get hung up on how they'd spend 20, 30 minutes just discussing the meaning of a word. And it's like, hold on, we're not learning it. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a purpose to discussing the meaning of a word, of course.
Yeah.
But as like right now, I'm not learning from this. Right
Nope.
now I'm learning that these people can't even define the frickin' topic they're talking about.
Yes.
Like, can we go on and expand my worldview, not just define this word? Like, if we have to, let's break down the several different potential meanings of the word and explain how all of those work.
And then
how
that's
they
how
can
we get the Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris podcast
Yeah.
for 2
Talk about
hours.
truth.
exactly
Cannot get past
now.
the definition of truth.
That
Yes,
was so bad.
Because they bring
so
their
dry.
own bias to the word, right?
Yeah, of course.
I had that argument with someone at work recently too. I said something about like a truth, and they're like, "That's your truth," and I was like, "Yes, it is. It's my truth. It's not the truth.
my
it's my
Yes.
truth."
Like I had a friend who, for like 6 months straight, every time we'd like eat a mushroom or like have a more complex conversation, somehow he'd bring it around to animals' level of consciousness, which I've actually done some reading on, and he clearly hadn't. But still, it's something you can't really define, right? What is an animal feeling? How much do they suffer when they feel pain? How much do they suffer when they feel neglect, anguish, loss, hunger, starvation, whatever, right? And he would constantly bring it around and keep trying to hash out this topic. And I'd get frustrated with him, and I'm like, I'm not getting frustrated because I think you're that wrong. I'm frustrated because we're just having a circle jerk. We're discussing something that there's no answer to.
Right.
And it's funny one time, but like, I'm way over it.
Have you
I was
ever
over it
listened to
3
a
months ago.
podcast and you're like, yeah, there was good 20 minutes out of 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we could have summed this whole thing up,
Yeah.
but instead we were around this bush.
Are
the
you talking about our podcast?
No, I feel like we go in circles sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a rounding out
Yeah.
kind of. Like I've watched our podcasts back.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like what we tend to do is we go around a similar topic, but we do like bigger and bigger circles.
Yeah,
We're like
yeah.
building out. We rarely like just do this the entire
Well,
time.
the only time I feel like we
Honestly.
do that is we keep coming back to the social media thing.
Yeah.
And because it's a relevant topic, we do keep coming back to that, and we do a lot of that.
And there's
Small
no new
circles,
answers.
Big circles, small circles, big circles.
Yeah, we're all stuck in that realm.
Yeah,
and
of course we are.
unfortunately, most of humanity is in a way,
Yeah.
in one way
Yeah.
or another.
That it is a surprisingly relatable topic, an
is.
unfortunately relatable topic.
It is unfortunately
Yeah.
relatable. This should be really niche.
To
Instead
be
of
honest,
naming
it's
this,
only unfortunate because of our age.
yes,
Fair
It's
enough.
Like,
Instead
young
of
kids,
calling
this
this
is all very pragmatic.
episode
stuff.
65, can we call it unfortunately relatable?
Unfortunately relatable.
Sure. Why
Well,
not?
we do need to do something about numbers.
Yeah, numbers are getting annoying.
Are they?
I don't know.
Not so
keep
much
talking
for the
about
podcast, but for Remy Reacts for sure.
Yeah.
But
As a bonus, we've plateaued at numbers of views.
fair. Yeah. Well, actually, though, the podcast is surprisingly durable at its number, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep expecting them
Consistent.
to drop off more. But now I feel like we found the only people in the world willing to listen to
You
this.
found your niche.
Until we get big in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we
Yeah,
need
we'll
to
just
be.
blow up sometime.
How do we do that?
one
I
at a
don't
time.
know. Well, take a lot of steroids, I
Someone
guess.
watched one randomly the other day, and they were like, "These are really good. I don't know how these aren't getting more views." I was like, "Well, your guess is as good as mine."
Yeah.
Because YouTube is a strange mystery still
Yeah.
to us. Me? I don't know. Jeremy?
No, I don't understand the YouTube.
What if we
algorithm
went
at all.
on tour and did our podcast for a live audience in theaters all across Russia?
Russia's
I mean,
scary.
that's crazy
Yeah,
enough.
it
It could
is.
work.
Yeah. So I wouldn't do all across Russia. Russia's huge.
Yeah.
And
We'll just do Chechnya then.
okay. just the war zones.
Just the worst part. no. Chechnya's not war zoney. It's totalitarian-y.
Okay.
It's got this really great guy in charge of it. I was actually watching a super fun
You
documentary
sure there aren't
about
like
how they're
10,000 tanks lining the border of Chechnya right now?
Oh yeah, that too probably.
Okay, cool.
But super totalitarian. I was watching a super fun documentary about homosexuals and trans folk, general people with different orientations in gender and sexuality, getting beat to death and chased by the police, and like getting imprisoned and beaten and then given back to their family.
So
and
sad.
and
This is a
and
happy documentary.
Oh, yeah, it's super rough. You've watched this in several pieces. Just when Roland was living in Russia, she was like going to school with the guy who produced it. So
Oh.
she's like, "We got to watch this," and I'm like, "Wow, this is super dark."
Yeah.
Quite well done. They have live footage of like the members of the public in Chechnya will record themselves beating up homosexuals and then like post it.
Oh,
So,
for clout
Yeah,
or something.
It's crazy how anti-gay they are.
That's
there.
it's
crazy.
wild.
Like
That's like it's a lot of the world.
I know.
Very upsetting.
Like luckily we're in a place where it's not. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
luckily we're here.
that's where like I was really happy with our social progression in the West. Like we really have gone quite. I don't think people remember.
Yeah, of course.
Like you know what I mean? Like people act
Do you
like we're
remember
so
the 90s?
regressive
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
But we actually have come quite far.
Oh, yeah.
On a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's crazy
Like-
fast.
I know you're wrong.
Really
This is
quick.
going to sound like I'm disparaging people who are minoritized. That's not a word, but you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, there's still people who are really like losing it about how we need to be more progressive, and it's like, yes, we still have a long ways to go from here, but let's put this in perspective. We're actually doing quite
Amazing.
well. We've set a pace in progressiveness and accepting people that is pretty good. And as a couple of generations die off behind us, we're going to be sitting real pretty. And yet,
Oh, yeah.
it still is harder to be trans or have a different orientation than to just be normal.
But
What-
don't
no,
you think
that's-
there's
do
always gonna
not
be-
let that go. That is the wrong. As I
Yeah,
meant to
yeah,
say.
normal
I
is
meant
the wrong word.
heteronormative cisgender.
Yes.
Is what I meant to
But
say.
don't you think there's always going to be something that I feel like it's part of our struggle that there always has to be something that's too much to accept.
Right.
Like
right.
so, there's always got to be one thing that it's like, oh well, this and this are good, but I can't tolerate this.
And we can't even see it right now, though. That's the thing, right? Is we won't be able to see it until it's like
That's right.
Who
getting
knows
fixed
what that looks
or
like in 20 years.
being dealt with.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like anything, like the weed thing when weed got legalized. You know, the people that were really uncomfortable with the idea of weed were very vocal, and it was a big problem, and it was going to be a gateway to horrible things. And then guess what? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And if anything, our tax revenue from it is fantastic. And you know, you have a lot of people that are older that are finding the benefits of it. So it was just one of those, like, you could see the fear, and you could understand that older people that don't have the right frame of reference are going to be afraid, and then it's going to push through, and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like any of those fear-based topics, it's like we just kind of need to push through, because then it'll be fine.
Because guess what? Gay marriage was the same thing.
Yep.
People were freaking out about it. And guess what? It happened.
Yep.
And it's fine.
Dude,
The
turns
world
out-
didn't end.
In
Yeah.
2005.
Turns out accepting
The
people
world
for who
didn't
they
end.
are
Like,
can just work.
and
Yeah.
guess how many people were affected by it?
Yeah.
No one negatively was affected by
Nope.
it.
Nope.
No, but like those are those fear topics where it's just like, you know, the toe in the water thing, where it's just like you don't know what you're getting into and you're scared, and you come up with all these reasons to remain scared. And when you kind of get forced out of your comfort zone, then you're like, oh, it's not a big scary world out there. We're fine.
Yeah.
What irritates me about that, though, is that your fear of something that isn't even going, even if it does happen and it's as bad as you think it is, won't affect you in any way whatsoever
Yeah.
is keeping someone else from happiness.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of absurd to me.
Or it could
Well,
be
but
negative
that's-
affecting.
That's the
them.
ego thing, right? Like you value the way that you view the world over everyone else, right? Like no one else is the same as you. That's how your world is. So it's like whatever I think and feel is the most important, and therefore I must express it.
The main character thing.
Yeah,
I'm
you are
writing this
you are
story.
the hero.
Get
and
out of my way. I'm driving.
if this thing makes me uncomfortable, obviously it's bad.
Yeah.
Like those are those like we and this is where I'm a big proponent. I'll say it again: psychedelics.
Yeah.
We need
Keyword.
we need to get to a place where more people disengage with their ego and can just kind of look at it as like, oh, other people are humans too.
Yeah.
And it ain't just me. And they have that same agency. They want that same kind of freedom feeling that I feel. So it's like I hope that for the world. That's what I hope.
Yeah. If everyone tried a little, just a little bit harder to take in a little bit of reading material every now and then, that helps them understand how they see the world through their lens, and everyone else does too.
Yeah.
And that we're all doing our best to understand the world as correctly as we can, guide our own words and behavior to our value system as best we can, and do our version of best.
Well, what you're doing right now, you're playing some soft jazz over there, and what I'm hearing everywhere else is like fucking punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we're flipping shit, tearing things down, rioting, burning things.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's
No
lot
one
of-
wants to get along right now. Everybody,
No.
we're assuming the people we run into are against us.
I think
Yeah.
people need to learn empathy.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you have like a little bit more empathy for the person next to you, if you can like stop and put yourself in their shoes, then you're like, oh, maybe Todd and James getting married isn't such a big deal because,
But so
I'd want to marry whoever I want to marry, right? So
there's like
and then you
empathy, and then there's like the word that gets thrown around right now, which is that I am empathic. I'm an empath. So
Yeah, I
like,
love that.
the,
so bad.
The deal of empathy in terms of being able to understand someone else's feelings, how they feel, and take them into consideration as to how you treat them. That's empathy.
Yep.
When people say that they are an empath and their other people's shit affects them, that means that they're egotistical.
Yep.
Right? So it's just like, I can't... so you have feelings... I understand your feelings, and
And
I've
then they
made it
bring
about
me
me.
down.
Yeah, and now they're
Right?
my feelings,
Yeah.
and now you're ruining my life.
And
or
Your
whatever.
vibes are ruining my day.
You're ruining my
You're
good
bringing me
time.
down, man.
You're not
I'm
allowed to
empathic.
Congratulations, you're giving away your power.
Yeah.
You have autonomy and individuality and your own ability to carry on, and you're giving that all away.
Yeah. But that's
There's-
the deal. Like, true empathy is what more people need.
Yep.
But in terms of socially what we've called it and what people are saying is what narcissistic emotions. Right?
Everyone is demanding individuality
Yeah.
and the right to be individual, and then not wanting to give it to others.
Yes. 100%. Because
And
it's
like, wow, that doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and the idea of empathy and being an empath and all those things, like if you're able to be an empathetic person to somebody else, as in you can feel what they're feeling and be there for them, that's all empathy.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
about them. You're using your ability to understand emotion to support another person. That has nothing to do with you.
Yep.
Whereas the idea of empathy being self-directed
Right.
is insane. Not insane, but it's like it's just the wrong direction. Like empathy has to be out.
Yes.
Empathy is more, wow, that must suck a lot. That must make you feel this way and this way. The opposite of empathy is, if I were you, here's what I would do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, at my work they show us this like YouTube video that says exactly what you just said, and they show it at like every learning seminar we have because being empathetic when you're dealing with individuals with special needs is like super important.
Mandatory.
And being able to like level with them and being like, hey, like what you're going through is awful, and like I'm here for you, and like all that stuff, but not being like, letting yourself, be like
project.
Yeah, project. Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Not projecting is also really important, because if you project, it can make some situations way worse, right? Like if someone's having a really shitty day and you're
push your stuff on them
you're
too.
You're projecting at them instead of,
I know
just
you're
dealing
dealing
an
with a
ear
lot
for
right
them.
now.
You're
Yeah,
adding
Here's a
to
little
their
more.
you're adding to their load.
Yeah.
Right? So but the YouTube video that we watch, I always think is like really good.
But this is where, like, okay, so say as kids growing up, you teach them about the idea of empathy and how to practice it. Like, because realistically, we're going to get to a place where, nobody gives a shit about the cosine of pi anymore. Like, we're getting past certain things in terms of our schooling.
It'll
We
be a
should
special
probably-
interest.
Yeah.
Right?
Almost all of what is being taught, I'm like, why can't we teach useful things?
Yeah.
Like,
Dude.
decent human skills would be a good one.
Life skills.
Yes.
Like, just life skills 101 would be sweet.
How to
Yeah.
not spend
run
all
that-
your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
Personal
year
equity.
of school,
Yeah.
teaching like one period of class is life skills.
Yeah.
They should just replace. I don't think you need to get rid of math, but like you only need to learn so much of it, and then life skills takes over.
And then you go do self-awareness class.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? Math would be easier to. I think math would even be easier to learn if you were just taught how to be a better human being in general.
Well, getting taught how to learn
yeah.
is very important, and getting understood as to how your brain actually works in terms of learning. Like, our school system set up for like like I would say a buckshot learning. Like, it's just like, okay,
here's your cursory
take all
awareness
this
of
info,
things.
and if you can't figure it out, then you're the problem, kind of thing.
We're going to
But,
mash some subjects into your head and hope
Yeah.
some of it sticks.
like, a buddy of mine's got pretty bad ADHD, and the way his brain takes in information and the way my brain takes in information are two very different things. And growing up, he's really intelligent, but he needs lots of information coming at him at all times. Doesn't deal with individual tasks well. And going into school, he was the odd man out because he didn't learn the way that everybody else learned. And rather than shaping the learning to him, he just felt stupid.
They do that more now.
They're
Yeah,
they're
they
better
do
at
that.
it now.
They're-
I,
well,
Those are those things where it's like,
they're
those are the
still
changes we
figuring
can
it
make
out.
now.
I
But-
have ADHD. I had a, and I'm dyslexic. I had a desk in a classroom by myself with the
Yeah.
alphabet on it, and I had a person that was my person that helped me
Yeah.
learn
Wow.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the school system that I went through, Catholic school system, did not know how to deal with kids with ADD. I was really fortunate that my mom is pretty on top of all the psychology and stuff. So I turned out pretty normal.
awesome.
I always think it's strange because like I was class ADD,
Yeah.
but there's no chance.
Yeah.
Like there's no chance that that's true.
They probably just mistaked
Yeah.
something.
They give
Well,
so
there's
many
characteristics, right? But like,
But like I guess maybe from the classical definition that they were going with then was I couldn't focus. And I had too much energy and I'm always fiddling and all that. But my focus is pretty clear. Like I can stay focused on anything.
yeah.
So
I don't have trouble with that.
attention deficit disorder doesn't just mean there's
You can
not enough attention.
hyper-focus.
That's the thing. is
But I'm not hyper
Yeah, you
focused either.
hyper focus on the areas that
That's
are
my
relatable
thing.
to you.
I'm a hyper focus guy. Like
Yeah.
when I'm into something, someone will come along with their other random stuff that I should be paying attention to. And I'll be like, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
and
I
it's
don't.
when it's
I don't-
given when it's given a level of importance
Yep.
to make it prioritized in your brain,
Exactly.
and it's been given a timeline.
Or someone tries to slide any little insignificant thing into my stream of focus, I'll just get pissed off.
Yeah.
See, like I would go
Or
like
frustrated.
the
Frustrated's
difference
a better
of my focus versus say Dave's, for example. So like Dave will lock in on something and then you can't get him off. I can get off of things. I go, okay, we're done with that. Go away from that.
That might be. You might have trained yourself to be able to do that, though.
No, but what I'm saying is I think that they use a lot of blanket terms.
It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
because
Yeah.
there's probably something else there.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ADD. I think I probably had something else there that they didn't care enough to try and figure it out. They were just like, well, we just diagnosed one kid with this. You probably are too.
Yeah.
Well, it's
oh,
like
for
anytime
sure.
they come out with like a more refined prognosis or like a definition for something, because like ADD changed to ADHD like fairly recently. Yeah. it is.
No, they're two different things.
No, I just listened.
I
to
think
the
they,
huge
yeah, I
release,
think they,
yeah.
they.
I don't
I
know.
think you're right.
Yeah,
And then they're
hyperactivity
diagnosing
disorder,
lots of
it's
kids
totally
with
different.
bipolar now.
Like,
Well, I was
they
diagnosed with
refined the
bipolar.
definition of it. Like the Huberman podcast just did a big
Cool.
rundown on ADHD.
Uh-huh.
So it's like the ADD definition changed to ADHD like 90s or early 2000s or
Oh, okay,
something
that makes
like
more
that.
sense.
But yeah, it was clinically that for a long time. But that was like the ADD was too broad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you have distractiveness, and then you have this the mechanism in the brain, the what is it? I keep forgetting what this thing's called, and
Is it fear based or
no,
like?
no,
okay.
it's the activation mechanism. So it's the
Is
It'll
it the
come
part
to
that
me.
makes you not want to do anything? Like, cause,
It's the
'cause
actionable one.
When you
So,
when
like-
you have ADD, you hyper focus on things, but then there's times where you just don't want to.
Yeah.
You
Well,
just don't
it's like
want
you don't know where to start.
Right? You can't
I
start
hear all
anything. It's
these
like
So if you have like
impossible.
80, if you have like 8 tasks that you have to do in your house, you'll get none of them done because none of them get prioritized.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that you
when
might clean
everything's
your
a
room.
crisis, nothing's a
You
crisis.
walk around
Yeah.
starting them all,
Yeah.
and you don't get anything.
But
done.
I always wonder if these are just states of being rather than they are like actual illnesses.
Well,
I
so
wouldn't
it's-
say it's an illness.
No,
I think
yeah,
it's
mean,
putting a title on individual personality
so
traits.
this is what I
Yeah.
mean.
No,
Like
no,
I'm
right?
saying,
No, no,
are
like,
these
they're
just
dealing
parts?
with, they're
like,
dealing
you're
with a
just-
portion of the brain that is underdeveloped.
You're
That
just
is a
Kev-
legitimate
You're just
part of
Kevin.
it.
You're just Jeremy. You're just Sarah. We all interact with the world in different ways and have different levels of paying attention to tasks and different
Oh,
skills.
I think
So-
I'm
But I think
striking balance
scientifically,
here.
Kevin's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you think about
Underdeveloped
if you think
areas.
about different areas of the brain that control different things,
Mm-hmm.
having increased or decreased blood flow to those areas of the brains are the clinical disorders that they're describing.
Okay.
So my depression is an under, if I understand it correctly, it's an underflow of blood to the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
If I understand it correctly. So that's the clinical definition. It comes with all of these things, right? But there's a cerebral function that is happening that they're trying to put a definition on. Just
Right.
like if you have any other part of your body, they're trying to give it more of the language is less ethereal, less like, oh, I can't do this, and therefore I put a label on you. It's more like, yeah, that's because this portion of your brain.
Yeah,
is
I'm not.
having
My
this issue
my
or
opinion
whatever.
isn't trying to say that there isn't brain chemistry there and that we're just making more of it than we should. What I'm saying is that I think that you can get into those states, similar states, no matter what your brain chem is, depending on certain periods of your life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So like, we just go, oh, I'm ADD. Well, have you ever just had an ADD day? Are you not allowed to say that if you're not classified ADD?
Yeah, I mean, if
you know
like,
what I mean.
For me, being depressed, I'm not always depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I have definitely got depression. Definitely. I'm almost always battling that. And you'll almost never know because I've become so good at it.
Yeah.
That skeleton's just sitting in the closet with the door kind of cracked. Like, hey,
So when I
Still
but
here.
when I was younger, I wasn't
just
so
over
good
here.
at this.
Huh?
And it would fuck up everything.
Yeah.
Like I would just act like a complete bastard and no one would know or care why. Right? So when I'm in that low now, my best I can do a lot of the times is I just don't talk much. Because I've hard trained myself. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It sounds simplistic, but there are times when I just need to not talk.
So can I ask a couple questions prodding that?
that's me with my anger.
Well,
That too.
So depression is anger.
I had anger issues when I was young too.
Depression is
Yeah.
anger turned inwards. Right?
Yeah, they-
so if
they
you're
go
not
together.
off-gassing anger and you're putting it towards yourself, that's classical depression. Anger is the externalization
Right,
of it.
right.
So in this respect, what is it you're angry? What is it that you're not letting out?
Well, there are things that I let out in my own ways, right?
Sure.
So, like, for me, my own ways would be when I sit and do nothing for a little while and just think things through. Right? That actually helps me a lot, just to think things through. I think if I didn't do that, I would probably explode.
So
'Cause
that's
I
the
used
logical
to-
side of your brain.
I used to explode a lot.
Yeah.
Like I would get to a point and I would blow up on someone and yell and scream and say the nastiest things that I knew would hurt them. And then I would be like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bad person.
So you're technically EMDRing yourself. You're taking it out of your emotional side of your brain and you're putting it into your logical side of your brain.
Yeah.
That's you thinking it through. That's like EMDR is the training of that. When you feel the feeling and then you introduce it to the other side of your brain and you allow the logic side to take over.
What's interesting is I haven't allowed that part of my life to fuck anything up in a long time.
That's good.
But it used to. Like, I used to burn shit down. And then it was like, well, how the fuck do I go back there now? Mm-hmm. You know, like, look what I've done. Good Lord. Like, we talk a lot about some of the shit that's happened in my past, but a lot of it, it's not like it happened to me. You bring a lot of it on yourself too, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't done anything like that in a while where it's like when was the last time? I think it was the first COVID lockdown. I freaked out and left the house.
Yeah, but
I slammed the door.
You punched the door.
But like that's
But-
the craziest
but-
thing I've done in a long
The
time.
other
That's
thing
pretty
too
good.
is like in that situation, I also like egged it on a little bit because we react differently. I want to talk about things,
Yeah, she's
and you
really,
don't want to talk
"Let's
about
talk to this."
things.
She keeps
Yeah.
bringing it up and
So
bringing it up.
yeah, you were really upset that we were locked down. You needed your quiet space, and I was like, no, we're
Let's
gonna
talk.
talk about this.
Yeah.
Which
I didn't even have my
I've
wallet
learned.
on me when I left, so I didn't
Yeah.
have my license. I was just like driving around.
You didn't
No-
even have your phone. You
Well,
had
that's-
nothing.
That's interesting too, because it's like you're talking about the emotional side of it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his emotional side, he doesn't trust.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
For
like,
good reason.
yeah, fair. Like, you know what I mean?
Opposites.
So it's like if you want to talk about emotions, and he's just like, you don't want to talk with that guy.
No, I need to cool off first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
need
need
to
to
get
come back to logical,
I
Jeremy.
need to get it back to a logical space.
Yeah.
I have learned that I need to allow him space.
But at the same time, like I used to think that's weakness. But I just feel like the only way for me to graduate that was to learn that that's not a good time for me to solve
You
life
gotta get in the right
problems.
gear.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you're at a stop sign and you're in fifth gear, like you're gonna have
Yeah.
a hard time getting through this intersection.
And that might be the best thing that I could do rather than try and fight with it.
Yeah.
Because like I can't get that demon in check. Mm-hmm. I just need to avoid it until it's gone. Because it will leave.
I don't know that it's avoiding it. It's you're dealing with it in your own way, right? Like you're taking it and you're putting it in the other room and being like, okay.
Well, it's also me
Whoa,
not letting
bear.
that run my
Whoa,
life
bear.
into a
Yeah.
fucking
Down.
hole anymore.
I think that's like the containing the beast or like taming the beast. You know what I mean? I think you've practiced containing the beast. I don't think he's been tamed, which is fair.
I think if you tame it, sometimes it's not so good because you can use that kind of like what was that line from Jordan Peterson? A dangerous man that knows how to behave is
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
But a weak man that can't be dangerous is
Yeah. Should be a warrior in a garden rather than a gardener in a war.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's kind of what I've done.
Yeah, probably.
I can't really
well,
get rid of it.
until you use it. Like you need to if you really want to be the warrior part, you need to learn how to use it rather
Can you say the
than it being-
analogy again? I kind of missed it.
It was a line from Jordan Peterson that
Yeah.
weak men. What was it? I can't remember the
Well,
line.
there's a bunch of them. There's like hard times make hard men make easy times make soft men make easy times. That's one. The warrior in the garden rather
But-
than the gardener in the war.
To your last point though about learning how to use the warrior,
Yeah.
I feel like I have used the warrior.
Yeah, there you go.
You use it at work.
I use it at work. I've used it to be successful financially. I use it every time I get tattooed.
Yeah.
I channel that in other ways.
Then there you go. That's a
But
skill.
But it's not the ways that people would maybe
Think.
think, right? Like it comes out in different ways. The warrior is the disciplined
That's
guy.
that whole like know thyself, right? Like there's a shadow to you that you are aware of, and you're learning how to use it within your normal life. Like that's what most people don't know, and then they're screaming at somebody in Walmart. Like, it's just like they don't know that part of themselves. They don't know that darkness that they have, and learn how to engage with it in a healthy way. And like that's what you've done, which is good.
Yeah, I still think it could always be better. But
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean
That's life,
That's a
you know?
healthy way to think, probably.
Yeah, and in 10 years' time, you'll be better at it, and you'll still
So,
think that.
Yeah.
What do you do with your warrior? Or you have
I'm currently learning how to use it. I've shut it down so much. So one of the things that I was dealing with when I stopped being angry at myself, I was just walking around real angry all the time about everything. And that's the thing that I've had to kind of figure out how to engage with in a way that is like good. So like for me, it's like that part of me needs to be standing up for myself. That needs to be direct and assertive and progressing myself forward and engaging in the world in a way that doesn't shut myself up over and over and over again. Because that was like the depressive side of me. So now if it's like if I'm biting my tongue angry at the world. So it's been like I feel like I had a really good lid on it for a long time. I would just get depressed. That was like, oh, okay.
You could
that's
see
just
it
me.
on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
so
see
it's
it.
like, for me, that feeling has been gone for a little while now. Like I don't get the inward beat up anymore. I don't think I'm a piece of shit. It's fine. But that anger is still there from time to time, and I still don't know exactly the easiest way to deal with it.
Well, I remember, like, little things would happen at work, and I would bottle them up, and I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And I would eventually explode. And these days, I'm just incredibly assertive.
Yeah.
So if
That's-
something annoys me, I address it immediately.
Good.
Maybe even have a little laugh about it, and then it's gone. It doesn't bulk up ever anymore.
And I think that's the problem. That's probably the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because if you bottle it, then it becomes anger. Assertive can become anger really easily as long as the assertives pile up. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you hold on to shit and hold on to shit and hold on to shit, now all of a sudden you're in the side of anger, and then you lose it because it was actually about all of these other things.
It's always interesting to me. I have a coworker that I always say that he's almost sweating it out because he bottles it up so much, and it's years, and you can almost it's almost leaking out of his pores sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like eventually something small will happen, and he'll go off like an inferno, and no one knows what the fuck's going
Yeah.
on. It's like, what's wrong with that asshole?
Yeah.
And it's like, did he really just get mad about that?
Yeah.
It's like, no, he get mad about the last 5 years.
Yeah, I was about to say that's 5 years. That's 5 years worth of build-up.
It's cumulative.
And it doesn't make sense to anyone. It
Yeah.
might not even make sense to him.
I think that's what you're seeing everywhere. I think you're seeing people that aren't able to be assertive in their own lives, and then it winds up on World Star later. Like, it's just one of those, like, you know, like there was that one that happened
Is this
in New
how
York.
school shootings happen, do you think?
I mean,
100%.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's like trying to get the world to feel your pain.
They didn't
Yeah.
have they didn't have a bad Wednesday and then show up with a shotgun.
No,
Right.
no,
They've
it's
been
bad.
they've
No,
been
no,
bullied
it's
for the
like
last
years and
3.5 years.
Yeah.
But
Something's
our
going on at home. Stuff's
Yeah,
going on at school.
yeah.
But our
no one's
ability-
paying attention.
not to
Wow.
recognize little transgressions like that is what makes it so confusing to
Yes.
us. Like, why was he so upset?
Yeah.
It was only this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was only that one thing, that one day, every day for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And now it's this giant fucking problem, and it's everyone's problem now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I'm on top of my shit of a process, an internal process that I call polishing turds. So you know how you'll kind of
Polishing turds with Scott.
yeah, that's right.
I love it.
That'd actually be a great reel series.
Yeah, that'd be a good time. Polishing turds. My turd today is because you know when you're having like an okay day, you're kind of on top of your shit, but then something will pop into your mind and it kind of like ruins your mood a bit.
Yeah.
So I have a process of like catching myself and being like, whoa, what triggered this? What's kind of like putting me off here? And I'll try to like figure out what it is. And typically it's something that either has just happened or something from a while back that's just kind of fresh in itself in my memory. And often these are things that kind of don't have a resolution or may need a resolution in the future. So instead of just burying it, my method of coming to terms with it is examining it, seeing if there is a potential action required, and then it's kind of like an if-or situation. You're like, if this happens again, this is my decided action for it. Or do I need to find some way to accept this mentally so I can move on from it? And by either of those processes, you've kind of like taken that turd and you've put a bow on it and you've placed it back there. You're not forgetting about it. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. No, it's right over there. It did piss me off before, and it still can sometimes, but then I remember there's a bow on it that means if that thing happens again, I have a plan, or I have accepted that this person is prone to that, or that this situation just is like that. My iPad will piss me off in these situations, and I need to accept that and just put it over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like my process. Or this only works when I'm on top of things. When there's too many turds, it's not going to work.
Yeah, the turds start stacking
your
up.
shit
You're gonna
pile.
have a
You're gonna have a
gross time.
shitty week or a shitty month until you
Have a
start
bad time.
putting those back in their homes.
And their little shelves.
What's
Yeah.
your process like?
My process, how I deal with things. Oh man, I'm good at dealing with most things except for when I have anxiety.
Yeah.
Dealing
Yes.
with my anxiety has always been a very special challenge. I have aspects of it in check, of course. Like the social aspects I'm much better at than I was when I was younger. I used to, a long time ago, my friends would always want to go do stuff, and I'd not be prepared for what we were going to go do mentally, and I would freak out and have a panic attack, and everyone would be like, "What's wrong with Sarah?" Because I'd be over there like freaking out because we're going to so-and-so's house and I've never met so-and-so and I couldn't deal with the social situation of it. Now I don't do that because I just process it in my brain and go, it's not that big of a deal. The last time you went to this person's house, nothing went wrong and it was great, right?
Yes.
But other aspects of my anxiety definitely kill me, like at work.
The first couple podcasts, it was like that, right?
What?
A little bit like anxiety.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely have like some social anxiety. Like at work, there's like situations that happen, and I'm like always dumbfounded as to how people are reacting and the way they're reacting, and I'm like,
Well-
why are you guys fighting right now? And I'm just,
This is what I said on the what is either last podcast or the one before about your family is all like really, really smart intellectually and lower emotionally.
yeah,
Like you're all like computers to some degree or another.
yeah. We don't know how to people.
But like it's not an insult. Like I said, like it's almost like the autistic spectrum is strong.
Probably.
But like that's where I'm like, are these just like parts of our brain that we
Well, of
just
course they
didn't
are.
recognize before?
Partially
Some people
learned,
have
too.
stronger suits than others,
Yeah, of course.
right? Because like I don't consider myself intelligent. I consider myself like I guess savvy or like a street smart kind
So
of thing.
we had one definition of what intelligence meant for a long time.
Yeah.
Clinical intelligence of IQ only, right?
Because you can be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, EQ, and then they're talking. There's I think 4 or 5 of them now. But like, there's different quotients now that they can measure in terms of giving you an accurate understanding of where you are intelligent.
Yeah. it's like-
Um,
my
but
brother
also-
Nathan. My brother Nathan is probably the most intellectual human being I've ever encountered. His brain is like a file cabinet.
Oh, his
He can
social
s-
skills are like.
He has no idea how to talk to people. None. So like, if I was to give him an intellectual score, it would be a 9 or a 10 out of 10, and his social skills are like a 1 or a 2.
But I think
And that's
he could,
generous.
He can put on a good show when he needs to.
Not really.
Sometimes.
No, I don't think so.
have you ever heard of Scorpion?
No.
Okay, so Scorpion is a company that was started by this dude who's a genius, and it is I think he started back in the 80s, something like that, that they specifically find geniuses. So anyone with an IQ over, they're aiming for over 145 or something like that, but they hire them, and they put them on problems to solve. And they create... So they did the Iron Dome missile system that is currently being used in Israel. They are entirely like they're responsible for war gaming out different U.S. military scenarios for how to plan for things when they're going into different areas. And anyways, their whole thing is that they were trying to find geniuses because apparently the suicide rate for geniuses is really high because they don't have that relatability to the world around them.
Yep.
So now they employ like 2,500 to 3,000 geniuses.
They have a community.
And they each have like, so they put them in groups of 5 depending on their strengths.
Can they talk to each other?
Yeah. And but so that's the other thing. They have people that score really high on the EQ quotient as their nannies. So for every group
yes.
of 5, there's one nanny.
Yeah.
Because like these are people that have very
The
like
antisocial
very
ones and the
intelligent.
really social ones,
Yeah,
right?
and
then
because
it
they
makes
don't know how to work together.
You
and
have a
that's where you
morale
have-
officer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was like he very quickly while he was putting together the program understood that you're going to put a lot of people that have that are super intelligent that
Low
don't know how
EQ
to
scores.
Yeah, and then find people that are
It's almost
there.
like putting a shepherd in there,
Yeah, pretty well.
right?
And like that company just keeps growing. They started a TV series called Scorpion to try and advertise to get more.
That's really cool.
That's
more
really
people.
cool.
Yeah.
So some like tags in pretty good to that is almost every woman that I've been with has been, I think, smarter than me, like on an intellectual level, but on an emotional level, not. Like, you know what I like? And that's not a diss. It's almost like I'm always finding someone who completes that side of my
makes
brain
sense.
that's missing.
Yep. Makes sense.
It does. It's like a yin and not a yin and yang, but it's I need this part to survive too and do well. But I feel like maybe they're looking for that similar
You
thing.
probably just like the
balance.
challenge.
Yeah.
But also,
I do
our-
like a challenge. I don't like dating weak people.
She's kind of cold. I like her.
Our actual baseline intelligence, though, can change over time. Like the brain as a muscle, if you're training it in more and more complex tasks, especially if it's a rounded out in the type of task, you can actually dramatically improve your score if you're taking one of those tests.
Oh, I
So,
believe it, for
by
sure.
all means,
Yeah.
if someone was going to hand you an IQ test that had a lot of questions that somehow were relatable to your job as a cook, where you have lots of experience and your brain is super well practiced at functioning in that realm, you'd likely score super high because you've practiced that portion of your brain. I don't know what those questions would look like or be made of to be relatable to the same part of your brain as, dealing with people in your kitchen, with dealing with the right portion sizes, whatever's
I've
involved.
learned
in
a
that.
lot about managing people working in kitchens
Of course.
too. Like
Yeah.
tons.
Yeah.
Like that because you're always working with so many different crazy personalities. Like yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I sure do.
You've seen the inside of kitchens.
I also know what you mean.
I've managed some wacky personalities
kitchen.
up north where it's hard to find a good employee. So you're kind of keeping some people that you wouldn't keep in a normal
Exactly.
contracting
Yeah,
company.
that's exactly it.
I manage some wacky personalities too.
Fair, yeah. that is a lot like what I'm dealing with in various ways.
You should try
all the
my
time.
job.
Yeah.
I put people with developmental disabilities to work.
Where
Right.
you're
I give them
almost-
job.
Yeah.
So
Almost
I'm always
every-
like, how do I work with this? You have Down syndrome. How can we
Very
How can
dynamically.
we make your work experience the best work experience for you? Right? And I do that with 8 to 10 different guys.
Andrew's here. Sorry.
Yeah, almost
No worries.
almost every different human being you talk to, you have to talk to a different way.
Yeah.
And handle a different way.
I can only imagine.
Because it's just like, okay, well, I'm with this person today. Okay, so the whole day is going to work different than it did yesterday.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's good experience for some people, though.